Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well today. Get comfortable, grab a coffee or a tea, because today's video is all about personal style in its purest form. We're talking about Chloë Sevigny. She's not someone you watch for trends or outfit formulas. She's someone you watch to understand what it really means to have a point of view in fashion. Her style isn't about looking pretty or polished all the time. It's about expression, confidence, and being unapologetically yourself. Chloë is one of those people where, even if you don't love every single outfit, you still respect the vision. And that, to me, is the definition of real style. So in this video, we're breaking down Chloë's fashion DNA, how she approaches style, why her looks still feel relevant decades later, and how you can take inspiration from her without feeling like you're dressing up as someone else. Chloë's style works because it's deeply personal. She doesn't dress for approval, and she never really has. She dresses for herself, and that energy comes through immediately. Her outfits often feel a little unexpected, sometimes even uncomfortable, but in a good way. She's not afraid of tension in her looks, pretty mixed with awkward, feminine mixed with raw. That contrast is what gives her outfits character. And another reason her style works is longevity. When you look back at her outfits from the 90s, early 2000s, or even 10 years ago, they don't feel dated in the way trend-driven looks do. They feel like snapshots of her personality at that time. So before we go any further, I think it's worth asking why Chloë Sevigny is still such a big name. Because she's not popular in the typical celebrity sense. She's not everywhere, she's not chasing relevance, and she's definitely not trying to appeal to everyone. Chloë is popular because she represents something rare, authenticity. From the very beginning, she's always felt like a real person rather than a constructed image. People sense that immediately. She doesn't perform a version of herself for the public. What you see is pretty much what you get. Another huge reason is that she was part of a very specific cultural moment. In the 90s, she emerged from the downtown New York scene, connected to indie films, art spaces, and subcultures that weren't mainstream at the time. She became famous without following the traditional celebrity path, and that made her incredibly intriguing. She felt discovered, not manufactured. She's also popular because she's comfortable being misunderstood. A lot of her fashion choices, film roles, and public appearances have been polarizing. Some people love them, some people don't, and she's okay with that. That confidence in her own taste makes her magnetic. People might not always agree with her, but they respect her. And then there's her influence. So many designers, stylists, and creatives cite Chloë as an inspiration, not because she's trendy, but because she's free. She gave permission to be strange, nostalgic, awkward, and expressive in a world that often rewards sameness. She showed that you don't need universal approval to have impact. She's also managed to stay relevant without oversaturating herself. She chooses projects carefully, appears when it feels right, and disappears when she wants to. That balance keeps her interesting. There's always a sense of mystery around her, and mystery is powerful. At the end of the day, Chloë is popular because she stands for individuality. She reminds people, especially creative people, that style, art, and self-expression don't need to be polished or perfect. They just need to be honest. And that's why, decades later, people are still watching her, talking about her, and drawing inspiration from her. Let's start at the beginning, because Chloë's early style really explains everything that comes after. In the 90s, Chloë wasn't dressing to be famous or fashionable. She was dressing like a real downtown New York girl. There's a rawness to this era. Thrifted pieces, awkward fits, things that feel borrowed, worn, or slightly off. This was the time when she became an icon, without trying to be one. Her outfits felt lived in and personal, like she grabbed whatever made sense to her that day. Nothing was polished, nothing was styled for photos, and that's exactly why people were so drawn to her. This era is important because it sets the foundation of her entire style philosophy, dressing instinctively, not performatively. Even now, decades later, that same instinct is still there. Now this is the era where Chloë really leaned into experimentation. This is when her style became more daring, more divisive, and honestly more confusing for a lot of people. In the best way. She wasn't afraid of awkward silhouettes, strange combinations, or looks that didn't make immediate sense. Sometimes outfits felt intentionally uncomfortable or almost wrong, and that tension was very much part of the appeal. This was also the era where her red carpet choices became conversation starters. People didn't always understand what she was wearing, but they remembered it. And Chloë was completely okay with that. What I love about this phase is that it shows how fearless she is. She didn't soften herself to be more palatable. She leaned into individuality, even when it meant standing alone. And then we arrive at her current era, which I think is one of the most interesting ones. Her style today feels more refined, more intentional, and more grown, but it never loses that Chloë edge. The silhouettes are a bit cleaner, the choices feel more deliberate, but there's still always something unexpected. She hasn't abandoned experimentation, she's just edited it. The outfits feel calmer on the surface, but they still carry that same sense of individuality underneath. This era proves something really important. Personal style doesn't disappear as you get older. It evolves. Chloë didn't outgrow her identity. She adapted it. And that's what makes her such a powerful style reference even today. If you look at Chloë's wardrobe over the years, one thing becomes very clear. She dresses based on curiosity, not rules. She's not chasing silhouettes that are traditionally flattering. She's more interested in mood, texture, memory, and instinct. Sometimes her outfits feel soft and romantic. Other times they feel boyish, raw, or intentionally strange. And what's really refreshing is that she allows herself to change. Not in a trend-hopping way, but in a very human way. Her style grows with her, but it never loses its edge. There's always a sense that she's dressing for how she feels, not how she's expected to look. There's always been a strong downtown art scene energy around Chloë. Her style feels rooted in creative spaces, indie films, gallery openings, thrift stores, late nights, and personal expression. She dresses like someone who belongs in those spaces. There's a sense of authenticity that can't be replicated. You don't feel like she's styled to impress. You feel like she's styled to exist. And that downtown influence is why her outfits often feel layered with references. There's nostalgia, irony, and emotion woven into her looks. You might not always be able to explain why something works, but you feel it. One of the most defining elements of Chloë's style is how she plays with proportions. She's never afraid of shapes that feel a little off or unconventional, oversized next to delicate, long lengths paired with unexpected cuts. Sometimes things feel intentionally unbalanced, and that's exactly the point. She understands that interest often lives in imperfection. This approach makes her outfits feel expressive rather than decorative. They tell a story instead of just filling space on the body. Chloë is not afraid of texture, pattern, or color. Florals, stripes, sheer fabrics, vintage prints. These elements show up again and again in her wardrobe. Her use of color often feels nostalgic, almost emotional. It's not trend-led, it feels personal, like a reference to another time, another mood, another version of herself. Even when her outfits feel busy, they're never chaotic. There's always intention behind the mix. Accessories in Chloë's world are never just accessories. They're part of the story. Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes they're bold, but they're always intentional. Nothing feels overly styled or too perfect. Even luxury pieces are worn in a way that feels lived in, almost careless, but never accidental. That balance is very hard to achieve, and she does it effortlessly. Her approach to beauty mirrors her style philosophy. Hair isn't always sleek. Makeup can be minimal, messy, or experimental. She embraces imperfection, and that's what makes her feel human. There's no pressure to look flawless, just expressive and real. And that authenticity is part of why her image feels so lasting. Chloë treats the red carpet as a creative space, not a performance. She doesn't show up to blend in or play it safe. She shows up as herself. Sometimes her red carpet looks lean romantic and vintage inspired. Other times they feel deliberately awkward or confrontational. She's worn looks that confused people, divided opinions, and sparked conversation, and those are usually the ones that end up being remembered. What's powerful about her approach is that she's comfortable with misunderstanding. She doesn't need universal approval. She understands that fashion can be expressive, emotional, even uncomfortable at times. For Chloë, the red carpet isn't about perfection. It's about presence. Now let's talk outfit ideas. As you watch these looks, don't think about copying them exactly. Think about the feeling behind them. Notice how unexpected combinations come together naturally. There's a sense of ease in the way everything is styled. Nothing feels forced or overly planned. That lived-in quality is a big part of Chloë's appeal. What's really inspiring here is the confidence. These looks don't ask for validation. They exist on their own terms, and that's the energy you can take into your own wardrobe. You can imagine these outfits fitting into creative spaces, everyday moments, nights out, or times when you want to express a different side of yourself. The common thread is personality, not perfection, personality. If there's one thing to take away from Chloë Sevigny's style, it's that fashion doesn't have to make sense to everyone. It just has to feel right to you. Her approach to style is about curiosity, confidence, and self-expression. She reminds us that personal style isn't something you buy or copy, it's something you build over time. Let me know in the comments what you think about Chloë's style and how she inspires you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.